Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. Thank you for joining us, and we are pleased to have participants from Slovakia and across Europe with us today. My name is Ibrahim Mujaddami. I'm the sales manager at Eaglessoft Information Technologies, and I will be your host for this session. Today's webinar is titled Slovakia 2027, Mandatory E-Invoicing and Europe's First PEPPOL 5-Corner Model. As digital tax compliance continues to evolve across Europe, Slovakia is preparing for a significant transformation in its invoicing landscape. Understanding these upcoming changes early will help businesses prepare for new requirements and ensure a smooth transition. In today's session, we will explore the planned e-invoicing mandate, the PEPPOL 5-corner model, and the potential impact on companies operating in Slovakia. To guide us through this topic, I'm pleased to introduce our speaker, Mike Vetska. Mike is an experienced invoicing expert with extensive knowledge of European compliance requirements, PEPPOL networks, and digital transformation initiatives. He has supported many organizations in understanding and adapting to evolving invoicing regulations. Mike, thank you for being with me here today and with our participants.
Thank you, Ibrahim. Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. I am pleased to be here with you to discuss Slovakia's upcoming e-invoicing developments and the PEPPOL 5-corner model. I hope you find today's session informative and valuable. Let's get started.
Thank you so much, Mike. Before we begin, I'm gonna walk you through today's agenda, and we will start with a short introduction to Eaglessoft. Then look at the evaluation from traditional or the evolution from traditional paper and PDF invoices to structured e-invoicing after that. Mike will explain what PEPPOL is, why Slovakia has selected this model, and how the future e-invoicing process is expected to work. And finally, we will discuss what companies should do to prepare for the upcoming mandate and how Eaglesoft can support this transition. Before we move into the technical details, I'd like to start by briefly introducing Eaglesoft. Eaglesoft specializes in ERP transformation and e-compliance solutions, including e-invoicing, e-delivery, SAFT, and e-ledger. We operate across 4 locations, with our headquarters in Brussels, Belgium, and offices in Frankfurt, Istanbul, and Ankara. This international presence allows us to combine Europe compliance with expertise with strong local support for our customers. At Eaglesoft, we believe that delivering IT and e-compliance services requires not only experience, but also proven and certified capabilities. That's exactly why we are ISO 27001 and 27701 certified, ensuring that information security and data protection are embedded into everything we do. We're also a PEPPOL Access Point certified provider, which allows us to support secure and compliant electronic invoicing and document exchange across multiple countries. Combined with our ERP expertise, API and integration capabilities, and solutions deployed in more than 25 countries, these certifications demonstrate our commitment to security, reliability, and enterprise-grade IT services. Okay, moving on to our expert, Mike. Mike, when companies hear about Slovakia's upcoming e-invoicing mandate, one of the most common questions is, will we still be sending PDF invoices in 2027? Many businesses today rely heavily on PDF invoices sent by email. And is that approach still going to be sufficient under the new requirements?
That's a great question, Ibrahim. Today, many companies send invoices as PDF files by email. However, Slovakia is moving toward a system where invoices can be exchanged, processed automatically. So in 2027, simply sending a PDF by email may no longer be enough for transactions covered by the mandate. The goal is to use electronic invoices that follow a common European standard and can be understood automatically by business systems and tax authority. The good news is that companies won't need to figure this out on their own. Slovakia plans to use the PEPPOL network, which provides a standardized way to exchange this invoices securely and efficiently. In short, we are moving from exchanging documents to exchanging digital business information. That means less manual work, fewer errors, and a much smoother invoicing process, actually. This slide highlights an important point. When we received an invoice, we usually focus on the PDF because that's what we can read on the screen. But for tax authorities and business systems, the real value is the structured data behind the PDF. Uh, think of the PDF as the visual version for people, while the XML contains the information that systems can automatically process and validate. So this is exactly why PEPPOL is becoming so important. It enables businesses to exchange the structured invoice data in a standardized and secure way. So while users may still see a familiar invoice layout, the actual e-invoice is the structured data behind exchanging in the background.
Okay, so what I understand from what you said right now is that PDF is just the visuals, while the real invoice right now is the XML version, right, Mike?
Yes,
Okay,
yeah,
yeah.
that's
Thank
that's a
you so
great thing.
much. Thank you so much. So a few moments ago, you mentioned that Slovakia plans to use the PEPPOL network as part of its future e-invoicing framework. Many people have probably heard the term before, but may not fully understand what it actually means. So what exactly is the PEPPOL network, and why has it become such an important part of modern e-invoicing?
That's a great question, Ibrahim. The easiest way to think about PEPPOL is a secure and standardized network for exchanging business documents electronically. Instead of sending invoices by email, companies connect to the PEPPOL network and exchange documents through a common framework. This means everyone follows the same rules and the same standards, regardless of which software they use, actually. PEPPOL was originally developed in Europe to simplify electronic document exchange, especially across borders. Today, it is used not only across Europe, but also in many other countries around the world. And it's not limited to invoices. Business can exchange purchase orders, delivery documents, credit notes, and many other types of business documents through the same network, actually. And one important point is that PEPPOL is based on the European e-invoicing standard, which helps ensure consistency and interoperability between companies and public authorities. To join the network, companies connect through certified providers called PEPPOL access points. You can think of these as trusted gateways that securely connect businesses to the wide PEPPOL ecosystem, let's say. And the result is a more efficient, secure, and reliable way to exchange business documents with, less manual work and fewer errors, actually.
Thank you so much, Mike, for this explanation. So
Welcome.
PEPPOL is essentially a common digital language and network that allows businesses and authorities to exchange structured documents in a secure and standardized way. The neutrality leads to the next question. Why did Slovakia choose PEPPOL? as the foundation of its future e-invoicing model?
That's an important question. Initially, the Slovak government was considering expanding its existing EFA platform, which is already used for B2G, so business to government invoicing, into a centralized clearance system for B2B transactions as well. So B2B, business to business transactions. However, when you're looking at different approaches across Europe, Slovakia have also observed the experience of countries implementing highly centralized models. One notable example was Poland's KSEF system, building and operating a national clearance platform for of the scale can be very complex, costly, and resource intensive. The challenges The challenges, delays, and implementation efforts seen in other projects highlighted the significant burden such systems can create for both governments and also businesses. As a result, Slovakia decided to take a different path. Rather than building and maintaining a completely centralized infrastructure, the government chose to leverage the existing PEPPOL network, which is already widely adopted, proven in practice, and based on European standards. This approach allows Slovakia to benefit from an established ecosystem, reduce implementation complexity, and accelerate adoption, and also provide businesses with a more familiar and scalable framework for exchanging electronic invoices. But, in short, instead of creating a completely new network from the scratch, Slovakia chose to build a network that is already working successfully across Europe.
Okay, so if a company wants to start using PEPPOL, what are the main steps? How do they actually connect to the network?
It's actually, quite straightforward. First, the company selects a certified PEPPOL access point provider such as Eaglessoft. And finally, and second, the people connection is integrated with the company's ERP or accounting system. And finally, once the setup is complete, the company can start sending and receiving PEPPOL compliant invoices through the network. So in simple terms, choose a provider, connect your system, and start exchanging invoices.
Thank you, Mike. That surely is much simpler than many companies might expect.
Yes.
Okay, so this is the title of our webinar today, which mentions that Slovakia is introducing Europe's first PEPPOL five-corner model. Before we go any further, could you briefly explain the difference between the four-corner model and the five-corner model?
Of course. So the traditional PEPPOL model is called the four-corner model. In this setup, the invoice is exchanged between the seller and the buyer through their PEPPOL access points. The five-corner model adds one more participant, the tax authority. This means that in addition to the invoice being delivered to the buyer, the required invoice data is also reported to the tax administration through the PEPPOL framework. So the first four corners remain the same, and the fifth corner is, just the government. That's why Slovakia's approach is so unique. It combines the benefits of the PEPPOL network with tax reporting requirements in a single model, everything in one.
Okay. So the key difference is the addition of the tax authority as the fifth corner, creating a model that supports both business-to-business invoicing and regulatory reporting, right?
Yes, in Slovakia, PEPPOL access points will have a special rule and are referred to as, digital postmen. They act as trusted intermediaries, ensuring that invoices are delivered securely between trading partners while also supporting the required reporting to the authorities.
Okay, we've talked about the model and the technology behind it. Let's now look at the timeline. When should companies start paying attention, and what are the key milestones on Slovakia's e-invoicing journey?
Certainly, Ibrahim. The journey actually started in 2023 when Slovakia launched the IIS EFA platform for business to government invoicing, so B2G. And the next important milestone is this in spring 2026, when voluntary B2B, business to business, testing is expected to begin. This will allow companies and solution providers to test their system before the mandate takes effect. Then comes the major date, January 2027. This is when mandatory B2B invoicing is planned to start in Slovakia. Looking further ahead, by 2030, Slovakia is expected to be fully aligned with the EU's VIDA initiative, supporting a harmonized digital VAT reporting framework across the whole Europe. So while 2027 may seem far away, companies should use 2026 to prepare actually tests, make tests, and ensure they are ready for the transition, you know.
Thank you so much. The timeline is
Yeah.
quite clear. Testing starts in 2026, and mandatory business-to-business e-invoicing follows in the year after. That means businesses still have time to prepare, but planning should start sooner rather than later.
Yes, of course.
Okay, so one question that many companies are asking is, what if a business is not ready when the mandate comes into force? Are there any penalties for non-compliance?
Yes, Abraham, and companies should take this seriously. According to the current proposal, inaccurate reporting may result in fines of up to 10,000 euros. For repeated or serious violations, penalties can increase significantly, reaching up to 10,000 euros. Another important requirement is record retention. Companies will be expected to keep invoice records for 10 years. The good news is that this risk can be largely avoided by preparing early, implementing the right solution, and ensuring compliance before the mandate becomes mandatory, actually. That's
Okay.
why starting the preparation process well before 2027 is, is so important.
Okay, thank you, Mike. The message is clear. The cost of preparation is much lower than the cost of non-compliance. I see huge numbers in here, 10,000 for the first offense, 100,000 up to 100,000 euros. So let's now look at what companies can do today to get ready for these upcoming requirements and avoid these penalties. So throughout today's webinar, we've talked so far about the upcoming requirements in Slovakia and the role of PEPPOL in the future e-invoicing landscape. The next question is very simple. How can companies comply with these requirements without adding complexity to their business processes? At Eaglessoft, we offer solutions managed for and designed for companies of different sizes and different ERB environments. Our goal is to make compliance is as simple and as seamless as possible. Our portfolio consists of three main solutions. First, the eDocSuite SAB add-on. This solution is designed specifically for SAB users and provide end-to-end e-compliance directly within the SAB environment. Companies can manage their e-invoicing and compliance processes and e-compliance processes without leaving their existing SAP system. And secondly, we have the DocNote platform. DocNote is our API-driven compliance platform that manages document validation, routing, monitoring, and PEPPOL connectivity. It helps companies exchange electronic documents securely while meeting local and international compliance requirements. And last but not least, our Invoset application. Invoset is our cloud-based invoicing application that allows businesses to create, send, receive, and manage electronic invoices. through an intuitive user interface. It is particularly suitable for companies looking for a fast and easy way to start their e-invoicing journey, let's say. Together, these solutions enable businesses in Slovakia and other countries to connect to the PEPPOL network, comply with upcoming regulations, and automate their invoicing processes with confidence. Whether you are an SAP enterprise, mid-sized company, or a growing business, Eaglessoft has you covered and has a solution to support your compliance journey. So back to Mike. Mike, many companies joining us today use different ERP systems. Some are using SAP, while others work with Microsoft Dynamics, Oracle, NetSuite, local ERPs, or even custom built systems. How does the integration architecture work for both SAP and non-SAP environment?
That's a great question, Ibrahim. The good news is that the process is very similar for both SAP and non-SAP users. For SAP customers, invoice data is extracted through our eDoc Suite SAP add-on, which is fully integrated in the SAP environment. For non-SAP customers, invoice data is sent directly from the ERP systems to our platform through standard APIs. In both cases, the data is then processed by the DocNote platform, where we perform format conversion, validation, monitoring, and reporting. Once the invoice is validated, it is converted into the required PEPPOL format and delivered to the customer through the PEPPOL network. And because Slovakia is introducing the five-corner model, the required reporting data can also be transmitted to the tax authority through the same framework. So whether a company uses SAP or another ERP system, the end result is the same: a standardized, compliant, and automated e-invoicing process.
Okay, so could you show us the incoming flow of the documents as well?
Let's briefly look at the incoming invoice process. When the supplier sends an invoice through PEPPOL, it is first received by the DocNow platform, where it is validated and monitored. And then the invoice is then delivered directly into the customer's ERP system, whether it's SAP through our eDoc Suite add-on or another ERP via standard integrations. And under Slovakia's five-corner model, both the supplier and the buyer report the transaction to the tax authority, providing visibility from both sides. The result is fully automated and compliant invoice receiving process, actually.
Okay, before we close, let me briefly summarize what me and Mike has talked about today and the key takeaways from today's session. First, Slovakia is moving to a PEPPOL-based e-invoicing model, meaning business-to-business invoices will be exchanged through PEPPOL network using certified access points. Second, companies will need to use a standardized invoice format based on the PEPPOL PIS Billing 3.0 and the European EN 16931 standard. Third, the timeline is important. Mandatory business-to-business e-invoicing is planned for January the 1st of next year. So businesses should start preparing well in advance. And finally, invoice records must be retained for 10 years to meet compliance requirements. The key message is simple in here. Start preparing early, choose the right technology partner, and the transition can be smooth and efficient. Okay, we almost reached the end right here. So thank you so much, Mike. Before we conclude, do you have any final advice for companies that are preparing for Slovakia's e-invoicing mandate?
Certainly. My advice is simple. Don't wait until the last minute. The companies that start preparing early will have, more time to test their process, train their teams, and ensure a smooth transition, actually. So Slovakia's move to PEPPOL is not just a compliance requirement, it's also an opportunity to modernize invoicing process and increase efficiency. Start planning early, and the transition will be much easier.
I couldn't agree more with you, Mike. Better efficiency and being prepared early is always best for any business and for anyone actually. So, lastly, thank you so much, Mike, and thanks for everyone for joining us today. We really appreciate your time and participation. And if you have any questions, we would like and you would like to discuss your specific requirements, please feel free to contact Eaglesoft team, and we wish you a lovely day ahead. Thank you so much.
Thank you too, Ibrahim.
Thank you, Mike.